Travel Bees, welcome to day 12 of our Sri Lankan adventure. Today we will visit Sigiriya, the Lion's Rock, and a traditional Sri Lankan village. Stay tuned to see that. Also Negombo, last day in Sri Lanka. I will post a birthday surprise that I made for my tourist. Also look at the pretty elephants. I will start by saying that in Sigiriya and Dambula area actually you will see a lot of elephants just walking around the street and eating leaves and grass. Now a few facts as always. Sigiriya is an ancient rock fortress located in the northern Matale district near the town of Dambula in the central province of Sri Lanka. It is a site of historical and archaeological significance that is dominated by a massive column of granite of approximately 200 meters high. It was built by King Gaspa of Sri Lanka, which has a legend of its own. I will not start with it because we will not finish until tomorrow morning the list. But one of the most important urban planning sites of the first millennium is the Lion Rock, the castle of King Kasba of Sri Lanka. And it is surrounded by remainings of extensive network of gardens, reservoir, and other structures like pools where he would bath with his 500 wives. And it has inside the mountain painted some naked ladies on the wall. And you should go and see that because the paintings are so realistic. You feel somehow a bit embarrassed, a bit curious, a bit don't know on what planet you are when you start walking the stairs, climbing the stairs to Lion's Rock. So the king would climb the stairs between the lion's feet and go up into the lion's mouth and head, and then it would arrive to the winter palace up there. You will see the last stairs that I climbed with Flavius. You would see it, and then the traditional Sri Lankan village, which is amazing. You would go buy bulls to experience that, and then go to the lake to see the life in the lake and on the lake, the birds and everything. Then we would go to see the traditional foods and how they drink it and how they used to make cutlery for the kitchen. It's very interesting. But after that, I would like to add some music to this video so you can enjoy it. Look at these two guys here, me and Flavius. We won. We made it up to the 2002 staircase. Those were the last two staircase, and up there on the Lion Rock, it's the most beautiful sunset that you would ever see in your life, and I added some images of that too here. So I hope you enjoy this video. I will add some music, and see you guys in our last episode of Maldives.
Happy birthday, dear Gabi. Happy birthday to you.